for over the years, we believe this is a time to fix where the rain started beating us. We need to start addressing how and when can we fix this? How can it be done? And when shall it be achieved? Can we as Kenyans, can we as a country? Yes, we can. If we put in place credible men and women to run the affairs of the general election, uncompromisable men and women who can put the country first before their own self-interests. When Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free," the Pharisees continued to question him, and they even almost went physical with Jesus, not knowing that they could not separate between Jesus. Indeed, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition presidential candidate, Raila'S, and his running mate, Martha Wangari Karua, won with a margin of over 2 million votes against the votes that Dr. William Samoei Ruto garnered. This is not me saying this. It is what the whistleblower brought forth and what the data analyst put together, compiled, and came up with. Mr. Barnabas Otieno is that gentleman who went out of his way to do this analysis and came up with the real and factual results as are projected in the summons that they have refused to open to date. Mr. Barnabas Otieno has been in some of the fora that Azimio has been addressing to try and educate Kenyans, elucidate to them, blow by blow, bit by bit, this particular subject. And since it hasn't been so clear out there when he was trying to explain the figures, figures, sometimes figures can be stubborn, but indeed when you understand the figures, you get to know what is in there. And that's why I have invited him to our studios with his laptop and every data that he has, so that he can take you through this analysis and explain to you how this election was bungled. Remember, whatever you are doing here is for the knowledge of the general public. We need you to know, but it's not for anything that we want to achieve as the two of us in this panel. Welcome, Mr. Barnabas. And first of all, tell us how, there has been this notion that it's you who came up with this particular result that the people say was brought forth by the whistleblower. Are you the whistleblower?
Well, thank you very much. The Director of Communications at ODM, that is Philip Petale. I appreciate being here. And to fellow Kenyans, my name is Barnabas Otieno. I'm a Kenyan, just like any other Kenyan, with full interest in the affairs of our country. As the elections were taking place, we all had interest in it. And so, this time I think the IEBC was very clear, and they said, we have given you the results. Everybody should add up their results. So I was sat glued on TV, and when I realized different TV stations were giving different results and there was a lot of confusion, I said, this is possible. Somebody can just sit and work with what the IEBC have in their portal and to come up with some values. And so I did that. And when I did that, I came up with results almost same as what the IEBC portal were displaying. So because I was doing it as an individual and without much, not really having a reason to do that, just to know the reality and the truth, we kept quiet about it, because at the end of it, the presidential candidate that supposedly won was announced, and we had to all keep quiet. Those who are celebrating, those who are making, not happy, they were not happy. And because I am Azimio from the beginning, I'm actually ODM from the beginning, you definitely know where my heart was. My heart was that we lost. And so we could celebrate. So at one point I decided to come up and say, these are the results. But when I look at them, because I was looking at it polling station by polling station, I noticed that there were some little discrepancies here and there. And it was like, in one station, which could have, one polling center, which probably is a school, could have like 5 polling stations. And in that 5 polling stations, you find that Azimio is leading, and then just in one of them, Azimio has terribly lost, in just one. Then I'm wondering, these are 5 stations in one center, in which Azimio has won massively in 4 and lost in 1. Then I said here, there are some queries that we need to raise here. So I walked to the party secretariat, and said, let's try to analyze this further. And when I went to the secretariat, it was like, we also have that feeling, but we can't put our fingers on the actual places that things happened. Apparently, I didn't know much about this whistleblower data, because I also saw it on TV when the Honorable Jeremy Akioni was announcing that we have a new data set that is showing that Azimio won. But they stuck at only the top tallies. And those top tallies were not easy to decipher and calm down and know this is exactly what happened. So, to some surprise, there was some hidden website somewhere where the whistleblower had put in his forms. But a lot of people didn't know about that. So I went to the executive director, and he gave me that website link, and then I took all those forms and downloaded. When I checked on them, I realized they were almost exactly the same as the Form 34Bs that were found at Bomas. Everything was basically same features, nothing different. So he said, let me try to go through them again, the way I went through the portal data, and extract the results from there, and let's see what comes of it. And so probably that's what we want to look at today. Really, that's basically what it is that we need to check on if given a chance.
Mr. Barnabas, before you go into the nitty-gritty of this show, the figures that you have, I want to indulge our viewer. But if you have any question, please don't hesitate to post, and we'll be able to, at intervals, I'll be interjecting Mr. Barnabas to post some of your questions so that we can be on the same page. Go on and show the figures where there are discrepancies and how.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, so I may take you directly to the system. Let's call it a system for now, because there are some things you cannot do without the help of a computer. And thank God, computers always give us exactly what we want it to give us. And maybe taking you there, I have titled the presentation as 2022 Presidential Election Analysis, as you can see it there. We are comparing 2 forms, the IEBC server forms, which came later, and also the portal forms, which were there. Everybody had access to the portal forms until at some point when they were withdrawn from the IEBC portal. This is how it's all arranged. when you look at the national tally, that is where our leader, the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, has been speaking of, I have a value. And the value that he's saying he has is 8.11 million. That is 8,112,244 votes, which gives him a 56.9% when worked out. And Dr. William Ruto has 5,938,160 votes, which gives him 41.7. And a lot of us would ask, where are these figures coming from? I also had that question in me, and everyone else in the party had that same question. And so we decided to go back to where it all began. We have what we call the polling station tallies. That is what matters most. And this is where people talk of what we call the Form 34A. And then we have that tallying into constituency tallies that gives you the Form 34B. So in reality, Form 34A is the start, then Form 34B comes next. So in other words, Form 34B is as official as Form 34A. So as we look at this, we note that the Form 34As are a myriad. There are so many, 46,000 plus of them, that cannot be displayed in any one instance. So it's better to go and look for the consolidated versions, which is the Form 34B. Now, that we grouped it up into county tallies, that came to regional tallies, and to national tally. And so our leader does not have time to go to all these things to the beginning. He can only mention the top value, which gives him this. When we compare that and we look at the vote difference, it turns out that now the leader, who is the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, who was the presidential candidate, actually the leading presidential candidate, got a leading of 2,174,084 votes. That is the figure. We always like talking of votes up to the end, because these four are not just figures, they are people. So we cannot just say around this number. We must actually say up to the last person. There's a fourth person there involved. So these are human beings that we are looking at here. Don't look at them as figures. And then when we look at the Bomas results, in our analysis, we could raise 193 polling stations. We could not access 36 polling stations from the portal. So that gave us a total of 7,146,574 human beings who voted for Ruto, and 6,926,844 people who voted for the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga. In this is what is ruling Kenya now. But we are looking at it like, if this is there and this other value is there, then there must be an issue. This gives us a vote difference of 216 in the Bomas portal, 730 people that we are told voted more for Ruto than for Raila. I want to take you to some basics because we want to finish this analysis as fast as possible. Let's look at a form like the one of Likoni here, which is Form 34B. We have said we cannot access Form 34A, and even if you go to the agents that we had in many places, they didn't take it, like they took those forms and handed over somewhere, and then the forms were like not available. But now we are able to access Form 34B, so let's stick to Form 34B. When you look at this, this is the Bomas portal Form 34B at the title. Then I take you a little there, and you can see I've made a slight change that takes me now to the server forms that came later on. I wanted to check on something here. There is some dot I'm cycling here. You can see that. And then if I come to this, there's again this dot that I am cycling here. You can see it tells you that these forms are exact features, exactly the same. When you look at the titles and the numberings on the forms, they are also exactly the same. Then, when we come to the sign part, the signature part, we have this from the Bomas that somebody called Vanessa signed here, and also somebody called Christabel also signed for Azimio. So there's a UDA representative and an Azimio representative. Then we have the returning officer also signing and an IEBC stamp. Then we go to this other form. Most of us may not even see that I have made a change. But this other form also is almost the same, not almost, exactly the same features with the stamp and the people in there. So I'll take you to where we got these forms from and you will see the different features in there. Then when we go to the inside of the forms, now with a naked eye, as you can look, you will see that it's almost hard to differentiate between this form and this form. I have two forms here. There is one here that I have highlighted. Then there is another one here which I also highlighted. You can not see much difference if you just check on it and you'll brush it off. And remember, there are 291 of them that you're supposed to look at. That is including the diaspora. Now let's go and check on a few differences in these forms. In this form, which comes from the server, later on from the whistleblower, we have a value that I have cycled here. You can see that here, now Raila, now with all due respect, allow me to refer to them by just first names because of the time, so that you can get it clear. So here, the Honorable Raila has 270 and the Honorable Ruto has 79. But when we go to this other form, now the Honorable Raila has 170 and the Honorable Ruto has 179 in this same station called Likodep, Station 1 out of the 10 stations in Likodep. Now looking at it clearly, from the first instance, you can see that all these other values remain the same, but this only one changes, and this only changes. So when you go down to the totals, now from the server, the two gentlemen are doctors, so sometimes I'll be referring to Dr. Raila Molo and Dr. Ruto, sometimes Honorable Ruto and Honorable Raila. So here we have Honorable Raila getting 24,544 votes against Dr. Ruto's 12,808 votes. Okay? But when we go to this other form that was now the official form at the Bomas, now the Honorable Raila has 24,400. And 44. Taking you back,
were being overturned by 100 to favor the other.
Yeah, that's not likely it's showing up, because if you look at these forms, like here we have 270, and we can assure you that this is as official as this form here with 170. It means that now the Honorable Raila had 270, now he has 170, that means 100 votes have been taken from him. And then now if you look at it here, Honorable Ruto had 79, but now he has 179. That means the 100 has been given directly to him. Checking on it, Professor Wajakoya and David Mwaure had their values unchanged. This is 1-3, that gives us a total of 353 and 353. And with all due respect to the two other candidates, who is Professor Wajakoya and the Honorable Mwaure, we checked through your data And we noticed that in all the forms, there was no variance. No value was taken from you, and no value was added to you at any one point. And this is what the system gave us. So there is no problem in this, because we decided that if we don't have variances for Professor Ojakoya and for David Maure, then we don't need to look at their data here. But we respect them as presidential candidates, and please accept that we can go on with just the two gentlemen.
Now, there's one viewer here who asked a question. He's called, I think I've lost him. No, yeah. Nas Hassan says these kind of election problems must end once and for all. Now, this is a matter of concern to many Kenyans, because what Azimio leadership has been trying to say in public and also in private fora is that the election was bungled, presidential election was bungled, and the question is, what is this that was being relayed in Bomas? Isn't it what is supposed to be in the server? Is there a difference between what was in the server, or what is in the server, and what was being relayed to the public in the Bomas, in the IEBC portal at the Bomas of Kenya auditorium?
Yeah, thank you, sir. We have a body mandated to carry out elections, and this is IEBC. They gave us results at the portal, and those results were hurriedly announced. And remember, for those who have forgotten a little bit about how it happens, the Form 34A is from the polling station that informs Form 34B. This is what we see the commissioners reading during the live transmissions. And then we change that to Form 34C and then to Form 34D that is now used to declare the president. When somebody else comes with another set of data that contradicts yours, it is up to you as IEBC to come and either refute that or try to investigate further and say, where are these results coming from? Because now they are in public domain. We have them here. We have given them to the public. And so we have two types of courts in this life. We have the normal courts, and then we have the public court. Now, the public court already has this, and they are trying to assess it. It is up to the IEBC to come and define and say, this is the source of the other form, and probably it is not correct, if they think it is not correct. But they stick to their own portal. But they're still quiet about it, and nothing is being said, and it's like that data is supposed to just float out there, and IEBC is mum, so we are not sure. We are not really sure on what IEBC is thinking. This is the reason why there's this cry of open those servers so that you can own up. Not that people don't know what is inside. People know, they only want the IEBC to own up. And however much you try to change things in that server, it might not work for you, because we have biometrics, we have so many things involved for you to go through the same process again. So this reality of the matter is that we have two sets of results declaring two presidential candidates. And a presidency is not something simple. I want to give you, Banetala, if you allow, as an analogy. We have two types of results that affect the nation. One is the national exams results, and another one is the elections results. Just assume that somebody comes and posts results on the head teacher's office, and students come and see their outcome, and they see we have passed and others see we have failed. In that, the celebration. There are even children who commit suicide because they have failed and they did not expect it. And then assume that 2 weeks or 3 weeks down the line, somebody else comes with another set of results and posts at the head teacher's office and say, now these are the other results that have come from NEC. And now all the children who presumably passed had their marks reduced again by 100, and the children who their presumably failed, and their marks increased by 100 each, and a lot has happened in between. How do you think the nation would take that? They would take it not in the right way. And in a way, that would be the end of the National Exam Council that day. It will be disbanded, and the person who will take lead in disbanding that National Exam Council would be the president himself. And then investigations would be put in place as to why we have these two sets of results. So how come in this one of the national elections, because it affects a presidential candidate and another one is in office, people want to downplay it as if it is not important? It is as important because it's a 5-year process that takes place. So when we are looking at it, we need to look at things with the seriousness that they deserve when these things show up.
Now, going back to your figures, what are the regions, or which are the regions that were mostly affected with these kind of changes?
Well, thank you. Let me take you directly to what is available. We have analyzed the whole thing with the help of the Secretariat, and we have placed all that data in a website called www.kenyaelectionresults.com. It is highlighted there. And when we pick it up, then we can now take you there and you look at it. Here, it's easy to go through it and understand what happened. We have explained these figures, and we don't need to go through them again. Now let me take you to the constituency summaries that will guide us onto the most affected areas that you have asked. Now when we organize the data in constituencies and then into regions, and then with final tally, this is the outcome that you see. In Mombasa, a place like Changamwe, Jomvu and Kisauni and Nyali, we did not detect any discrepancy. There was nothing. In other words, the server results and the portal results gave us the same values, and that's why we have variances of 0 and 0. Then when we come to Mombasa County, Likoni, we detected that there was some 100 votes taken from the Honorable Raila and 100 votes added to the Honorable Ruto. And in Mvita, we had some 400 votes here taken from the Honorable Raila and 400 votes added to Ruto. That means in the entire Mombasa County, Honorable Raila lost 500 votes and Honorable Ruto gained 500 votes. At some point, we will take you directly to the forms that you can see them, pick them, download them, and check on them and verify. And I'm sure you will keep quiet because you cannot dispute the reality. Then now we have Kwale. We had only Kwale, only Msambweni and Kinango affected. Then when we go to Kilifi, we had only one constituency called Magarini that also Right Honorable Raila lost 100 and Honorable Ruto gained 100. Tana River, we had also some losses. Then when we look at the entire coast region, we now note that IEBC portal that is ruling Kenya today has it that the Right Honorable Raila got 649,758 votes, while Honorable Ruto had 336,369 votes. But the server results that we keep asking, well, open them up so that you own up. Not because we don't know, but we just want you to own up. Gave Honorable Raila 651 votes, 678, while Honorable Ruto got 334,419. That means in the entire coast region, he lost 1,950, and Dr. Ruto gained 1,950 votes. Okay? Now, Looking at it, we have Northeastern. I want us to go faster because we don't want to take whole time looking at 49 counties. Let us look at Northeastern. And we note that the IEBC results for Northeastern gave the Honorable Raila 352, 431, while the Honorable Ruto was given 196 and 38 votes. In this case, Honorable Raila lost 22,000 votes and 22, while the Honorable Ruto gained 21,306 votes in Northeastern. We have looked at the central, at the coast. We note that the Honorable Raila won in coast, with minus a few votes deducted from him. And then when it comes to Northeastern, also Honorable Raila won, both in the server and also in the portal in Northeastern. With the deduction of some votes, he still won in both. Then when we come to the Upper Eastern, we take Upper Eastern and Lower Eastern because of various reasons, and we want to differentiate them for you. We note that here, with a few shenanigans that took place in there, we had Upper Eastern, Honorable Raila, IEBC gave him 149,000 votes, 613, while the Honorable Ruto was given 731,415. That means the Upper Eastern people, Honorable Ruto won. But in the servers, we note that instead of 149, Honorable Raila got 232, 827, and Honorable Ruto got 648,000. So in this case, he was denied a total of 83,000 votes, 214, while Dr. Ruto was given 83,314 votes. You may think these are hot air, as they keep saying, but we have forms, and data never lie. We don't have this fished from nowhere. And anybody should come and tell us the source of these forms, if they think they know a better source than IEBC itself. We have Lower Eastern region. In Lower Eastern, where it's basically Machakos, Kitui, Makwani counties, we have the IEBC server forms giving us that Honorable Raila got 769,422, while Honorable Ruto got 250,157. Again, he won with a high margin, very high margin. But we are looking at it from the servers. We still have it that he got 778,22, and Honorable Ruto got 242,052. That means 1,400 votes were deducted in the entire region of the Lower Eastern from Azimio and given to the UDA candidate, which is 5,100 votes added to him. Again, looking at it in the Lower Eastern, now Honorable Raila has won, even from the portal and from the servers themselves. He has won in both. Then we come to to Central region. In Central region, we detected a lot of things that happened, which we may need to look at critically, one by one, maybe after taking you through this. In IEBC, they gave the Honorable Raila 423,000 votes. That is in the entire Central region, starting from Nyandarua, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Kiambu, all of that. They want to say that only 423,000 people voted for the Honorable Raila, and 1.6 million people voted for the Honorable Ruto. Now, when the server results came, this one from the servers, and added their values, we noted that the Honorable Raila had 1,027,989 votes, while the Honorable Ruto had 1,016,156 votes. When we look at Central Province, and we know the dynamics of Central, and we know at that particular time we had a sitting president campaigning on behalf of the Right Honorable Raila. Not that he can't penetrate Central by himself, because I don't think there's anybody who does not know the Right Honorable Prime Minister that he was going to win. A 50-50 sharing is highly possible in Central region. And this is what the server is giving us. The server is actually giving us 50-50 sharing between the Honorable Ruto and the Honorable Raila. We know that's basically that the Central people really voted, not really for personalities. They vote for ideologies. And here we heard the president floating an ideology that this you are safer in the hands of the Right Honorable Raila. And Honorable Ruto was also floating an ideology that you're going to get free money, what we call the Hustler Fund and so on. So probably this divided the votes in between this. And the servers are now telling us the reality and the truth, that there are those who listened to His Excellency the President, and there are those who listened to the ideology of Honorable Ruto of free money that was voted for. And so we have to stick to Central a little and figure out what really happened. But we have the results out here. All these highlights show us that there are lots of changes that took place, that Dr. Ruto was given some values, and Dr. Raila was also denied some values, which we will take you through. After that, we can now take you to Rift Valley, the entire Rift Valley region, which we did not divide into two because we knew that a presidential candidate was coming from Rift Valley. So we didn't have to look at North Rift and South Rift. We decided to put it all together so that we understand the behavior of the Rift Valley in the elections. Apparently, we are surprised that IEBC gave the Honorable Prime Minister 1.1 million votes from Rift Valley against Dr. Ruto's 2.666 million votes. And comparing that with Central, we thought that probably in the Rift Valley is where he should have even gotten some hundreds of votes only. But he still managed to be given from the portal 1.1 million. Again, when we look at the discrepancies of the things that happened, now we have 1.4 given to the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Raila Amolo Odinga, against Dr. Ruto's 2.3 million votes. Here, he ended up losing 336,000 votes and Ruto gaining 246,000 votes. If you look at it, this is really, really tenable because Rift Valley at some point was the bedrock of ODM. And there are people still there who are in ODM, and we knew very well at that time. We could even see resignations happening in the last minute of people transferring from UDA coming to ODM. I mean, there were even the officials of UDA resigned last minute. So in other words, there was high chances that the Prime Minister was going to get massive votes in Rift Valley. Apparently, the portal tells us it's 1.1, the server tells us it's 1.4. That is why we need to trust what the server is also telling us, and we need the IEBC to come up and own up and say that this data set is from them. Not lastly, but we have the Western region, which is, for those who may want to know, it includes Kakamega, Vihiga, Bungoma, and Busia. There are 4 counties. In this case, the IEBC gave the Prime Minister 849,000 votes, and Honorable Ruto was given 513,000 votes. Here again, he won. So looking at all those regions, we have only seen 2 regions where the 3 regions, I should say, including the Upper Eastern, that Ruto won, and the others, Raila has been winning. Then when we look at the value at the server, we now have 892,000 votes against 466,000 votes. That means in Western, again, Raila was denied 47,000 votes and Ruto was added 46, close to 47,000 votes. So in other words, what you take is what you give on the other side. Then when we come to Nyanza region, that includes Siaya, Kisumu, Homa Bay, Migori, Kisii, and Nyamira. We also have it that the IEBC portal that was announced at the Bomas gave Raila 1.87 million in Nyanza, and Ruto had only 283, according to the official results. But when we look at the servers, we have 1,898,000 for Raila and 261 for Ruto, 1,000 votes. Here in Nyanza, entire Nyanza, they didn't do much. Whoever was trying to do this math only took 20,000 votes from Raila and gave 22,000 votes to Ruto. Then lastly, we have Nairobi, which is basically a region on its own because of the cosmopolitan nature. We have it that Ruto was given 757. No, Raila was given 757,000 votes, while Ruto was given 535,000 votes. Again, in Nairobi, Raila won with a higher margin, but looking at the server results, it turns out that he had 822,000 votes against Ruto's 470,000 votes. Again, he won massively in both the portal and in the server with a very wide margin. But in that, as they were doing that, they raised 65,000 against Raila and given towards Ruto against 65,000 votes. The reason why we don't have diaspora discrepancies is that we were not able to access the server results from the diaspora. So those who are asking where has been the 8.1 million and 5.9 million votes coming from, you can see the addition here. That when we add all the votes, the server results indicate that all these totals, which you can do by yourself, you have it over there, 8.1122444 million votes against Dr. Ruto's 5.938160 million votes in the server. It is clear there, and you can see the figures, how they came up. We will take you to the polling station so that you can see a few. This means that the Right Honourable Minister lost 1,182,400 votes, and Ruto gained 1,208,414 votes from nowhere. These are votes that is given to you by computer. It's taken this side and added, and in that case now he had 7 million votes, 0.1 against 6.9 million for Raila, giving the difference of 216,000 votes that was there. So in a nutshell, I've given you regionally because it's easier to understand. The whole data is there, but regionally it's much easier to understand because it's shorter.
Well, I've been going through the comments on the live stream, and there's mixed reaction. There are those who support the current, or rather Honorable Ruto, and those who support the Honorable Raila. But you know, it's always a forum where people just spew anything they want to say. And I've been going through the comments, and some believe that what you're saying is the truth, but nothing but the truth. And indeed, I believe one asked, how authentic is this data that you're trying to show us? Number two, there are those who are telling the Azimio adherents to just accept and move on. And you know, one thing I want to remind them is that, as Dr. Nelson Mandela, the late Nelson Holisa Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. Now, Barnabas, Going to the question that one of the viewers has asked here, how authentic is this data and is it verifiable?
Right. Thank you very much. I want to answer that because we cannot give such a magnitude of information if we cannot verify it. It affects the nation. In one way or the other, I'm sure it's live, and we know social media today is accessible world over.
Sure.
So this is not just about Kenyans. It's about friends of Kenya. It's about Kenyans in the diaspora. It's about everybody else. So we cannot come up with things that cannot be verified. In that same website, if you look at it, I want to take you through it. We have indicated here that these comparative results from IEBC server forms 34B and Bomas portal forms 34B for the 2022 presidential elections. So that means we have sources we took them from. We took them from the IEBC themselves. That's why we authoritatively write here IEBC forms. They can take us to court if they think these are not their forms. They can choose to do that. Yeah? Then, the variation of the original Form 34B can be downloaded from the given links below for every constituency. The final analysis calculates the following results. We have indicated here. This has been explained. From here, you can now view, we have three columns here. We have 3 columns that you can interact with. One is just showing you the county, the constituency, and then now you can download the server form, what came from the servers later on, and the original Bomas forms that was originally at the Bomas. Even IEBC know that with these Bomas portal forms is what they gave people, and they say the results are there. I quote Chebukati saying one point that if you can't add those things by yourself, then you are to blame. They are there, pick your calculators and add the results. So we have placed them there for you to see that they were there, even though they pulled them down later on. And I remember at one point when Chebukati was asked, he cited the cost of maintaining them in their servers, and that's why they could not keep them there. Otherwise, he didn't have any other reason why he pulled them down. So we have put them there for you to verify because we are the complainants. And when we are complainants, we must give all the evidence that we have. So let's take you to a case like Likoni here. This is Mombasa, Likoni. I hope you are following, those who can follow with me. The server form for Likoni is this one. Let's download it. There it is. We have downloaded it. This is a Form 34B from the server. And you can see it is all the features of Form 34B as brought to us by IEBC. No one can have access to these watermarked papers from IEBC and the barcodes and the logo and everything else and still be confident enough to display to the public if you are cooking this. You can't. The IEBC portal form here. This is how we talk of verifiability now. Let's verify these 2 forms together for those who are following. Yeah, so just to rotate and see the values here, you can see that this form and this, we come to the other Likoni form and we go to Likodep, the same one. This is now verifying these things. Here, now it is 170 and 179. If you look at this data, how it is, there is no editing, nothing. You can't see anything. So this means the sources, the original sources, are the ones that gave us both results, the 170 and 179, and here they gave us 270 and 279 for the same station here. Look, this is Licodep 01, we have 270 and we have 79, while on this one we have 170 and we have 179. So we have simplified the whole thing for you. Instead of going through all those forms and checking what is inside, because you may not be able to tell, we have put a column called the processed comparison results. Here we have the view. So let's view what happened in Likoni. You can see the results are much clear, and again, with due respect to Honorable Wajakoya and Honorable Mwaure, we have omitted your results because there were no discrepancies. Even here, we noticed that there was no much discrepancy until we came to only one point here, that we have 270, 79. Then it changes to 170, 79. The two columns on this other end are the Bomas portal. And on these first lines are the server portals, the one that we have been saying open the servers. These are just the station streams, and these are the stations themselves. So if you're going through this, you will see the station stream, the votes obtained by Honorable Raila in the server, votes obtained by Honorable Ruto in the server, votes given to Honorable Raila in the IEBC portal, and votes given to Honorable Ruto in the IEBC portal. We say given because from the look of things, you can even tell from here that look at the flow of this data here, and then suddenly we have a 179 popping up when the whole values were just hundreds. It can tell you that there was some give and take happening here. So we see 100 and 100, and we can confirm from these two forms. So we are not here to just cook figures and give you, because we know the repercussion of doing that, especially to a nation as peaceful as Kenya.
Well, Mr. Barnabas has made it clear that these forms were downloaded from the IEBC, and indeed he has challenged the IEBC to come forth and prove that whatever he's trying to tell the public with this data is not authentic. The IEBC has not done anything about this. They haven't denied or confirmed that what is contained in this data is indeed what it is in the servers of the IEBC. And another comment that I want to quote, and I believe as I quote it here, it's a comment from one Cheriot Korir, who says of what is being done here on this live stream, that these are the so-called educated fools. Indeed, it's never easy to be a fool, but it's always important to know that someone is a fool when you know you are not a fool. And I want to quote Clarence Thomas, who said, "Good manners will open doors that the best education cannot." So Mr. Cheriot Arab Korir, you may learn from Clarence Thomas that good manners will open doors that the best education cannot. Well, as you wind up the show, I just want to say that indeed the information that has been shared on this show is what is contained on both the report that was brought forth to the Azimio leadership by the whistleblower who works in the IEBC, and also what was displayed at the Bomas of Kenya portal. And quoting the evening chapters of the book by the former chief agent of the Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate, Mr. Saitabao Ole Kanchori, who said that all through at the Bomas of Kenya, when the results were being streamed live on the portal, Honorable Raila Odinga was always ahead with over 50% of the votes cast that had been projected on the portal. Until that time, when the IEBC chair decided that the streaming of the results on the portal should stop, public display of the results should stop, and indeed it stopped with his word, because being the presidential returning officer, he said he had the powers to make any decisions that he deemed was or were fit at that particular time. So Mr. Kanchori goes ahead to say that indeed the whole process was mismanaged by Mr. Wafula Chebukati. The whole process of streaming of results from polling stations into the Bomas auditorium was mismanaged by Mr. Wafula Chebukati. And I haven't seen anywhere Mr. Chebukati coming to refute this particular claim that Mr. Setaba Ole Kanchori has quoted in his book, Why Raila Odinga is Not the Fifth. Now, another thing that perhaps Kenyans should know is that whatever is being presented in this live stream and has been presented in other forums that the Azimio Umoja One Kenya Coalition leadership has been attending. The first one was at Ufungamano House along Mamlaka Road at the University of Nairobi, where Mr. Barnabas presented it to a pensive audience that had time to look at the figures and understood what was happening. Then the second one was at the Murang'a SEK Diocese Mothers Union Hall, where he also did the same to the audience that had turned out for the meeting that was addressed by the principals of Azimio Umoja One Kenya Coalition led by Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. This is what is contained in the server and the portal at the IEBC as was displayed. And it's now, the onus is on the IEBC to come forward and say, indeed, what you're doing is not correct. The figures you are presenting to the public are not right. They have not done so. And Mr. Bardamas, not once, not twice, has challenged the IEBC to come and say, indeed, this is not, these are not our figures. They haven't done anything. Being considerate of others will take your children further in life than any college degree, Mariam Bright Elderman said. So whatever you do with this information is up to you. Take it, leave it. But indeed, it's just for Kenya to know what happened. Someone asked in the comments, what next? It is not us to decide what next. Neither it is you to decide what next. But what we need to do as a people who love our country, who want this generation and the generations to come, our lives, our future, and the future of our children's children to be good and under good governance in an open, transparent, and a fair system of election. We need to fix what is used to deprive others of their victory and reward others who have it. I mean, those who have the means, you know what I mean, of that victory. So basically, this show was just to show you exactly what Mr. Bardamas has been trying to explain to us after going through the data and analyzing critically so that you can understand. Mr. Barnabas, your parting shot, what do you think should be done going forward?
Yes, I have a few concerns that I can also highlight directly to you, as you can look at it from the computer. One of them is, what are the sources of the different sets of Form 34B? The work of anybody who wants to check on data is to get the originals and process, and the computer gives you out the results. So the sources is what matters. But when you look at it, we know that the portal comes from the IEBC. And the other source also is coming from IEBC because we are told the whistleblower got it from IEBC. So ask ourselves, what are the sources of the different sets of Form 34B that are bringing the controversies in Kenya today? And we can authoritatively say it is IEBC. Then who is responsible for the different figures in the two sets of the Form 34B? It is not us. Ours is to take the two sets of forms and compare the results and get the outcome. Then we note that who created those figures differently like that? It's only IEBC that can answer that question. Then why the consistencies in the different forms? You know, if it was just something that somebody was doing a hazard, we could have seen some places it's 100 votes taken, some places it is 20 votes, some places it's this much. But we note that the consistency is that what is taken from the Prime Minister Raila Odinga is what is given to Ruto directly, just like that. To show that there was a planned consistency in this to happen, and who could be responsible for this? It is an IEBC plus some anonymous face that only them can be able to explain. Lastly, I have that indicated, drawing there. We have peace, humanity, and justice. Many times we pursue peace at the expense of justice. And you see what happens, everybody shouts and the police are on the roads and they're trying to tell people, maintain peace. All we need to do is just to pursue the justice part of it. Then peace will pursue us. It is all clear that if you pursue justice, peace pursues us. Lastly, we also have humanity, the truth, and the law. Many times we want the law to pursue humanity at the expense of the truth. But the reality is that we should pursue the truth, and the law will be a faithful observer in what's going on in our lives. So these two things is what is causing problems in Kenya today. Apparently, when I look at the social media, when we want to be rational and try to bring things in the rational way, you meet it with sorts of insult, accept and move on. This and that, mlishindwa, what. That is what you meet. But again, if we speak of going to the streets, then you start wondering, why are you telling people again, don't go there? So in other words, we need to be keen. We need to know that we have two things that we must always pursue. Justice, and we must also pursue truth.
True.
Then we will have all the peace that we need in our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir Winston Churchill, one of the most celebrated statesmen in the UK, and the former British Prime Ministers, once said, all the great things are simple, and many can be expressed in a single word. Freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, and hope. Hope is what gives people, what keeps people going. It is hope that what makes us go. Keep hoping. Let's get there. Let's fix our country. Thank you to the production crew. Everyone was involved. My guest here, Mr. Barnabas Otieno, thank you for agreeing to come to the show and share with us the data that you have analyzed so that Kenyans can understand. But I just want to tell you, it is you who will make Kenya move forward by the resolve to have some things changed. Change begins with you. Change begins with me. Let us join hands and fix our country so that we can have a better future. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you.